It is no surprise that with the last Forbidden and Limited list, Snake Eyes took a massive hit, and while I did make a deck profile showing you guys how viable it still was, results do kind of speak for themselves, but thankfully, thanks to Rage of the Abyss as well as Azamina, Snake Eye is back on top. Kicking it off with the actual Snake Eye cards, we are just on a bunch of one-ofs now. Obviously, the Ash and the Poplar are limited to one, but we are only playing one Snake Eye Oak as well. In testing, the second one just didn't really feel as useful as I would have thought that it would have been, so we are just playing it at one, but we also have our one copy of Flamberge and our one copy of Snake Eyes Diabellstar as well, and that is actually going to finish it up for the Snake Eyes cards, which, yes, it's weird, it's a Snake Eye deck, we're only playing 5 Snake Eye cards, but they are incredibly tutorable out from the deck, which brings us into our next bit, which is, of course, the 3 copies of Diabellstar the Black Witch. This is now probably the best starter in the deck, and just an incredible card overall. We then do have a small Fiendsmith package. We are on one copy of Fiendsmith Engraver and one copy of Lacrima the Crimson Tears. Now, the reason this is cut down severely from previous builds is because the Fiendsmith Engraver is no longer a one-card starter, whereas before the ban list we had something like Beatrice where we would be able to go ahead and just dump our Ash and then summon it back with the Princess. We can no longer do that, so we don't want to open either of these cards, which is why we're playing them at the minimum amount, because they are just combo pieces for later on down the road. Now, we do have 3 copies of Fuwalos. Yes, these are Fuwalos, I promise you, there is nothing weird about these. But in all seriousness, yes, they should be 3 Fuwalos. Unfortunately, I only have the one, so the Perulia are just stand-ins for now, but you should absolutely be playing the 3 Fuwalos. They are just, again, proxies for the ones that I don't currently have. We then have our 3 copies of Ash Blossom. We are on 3 copies of Ghost Ogre. This is actually a really good hand trap this format. It hits pretty much everything except for Fire King, so really, really strong. We are still on our 3 copies of Effect Veiler as well, and that's going to be it for the monsters. Yeah, pretty small actual monster count, just a lot of hand traps, but there are so many ways of getting to the Snake Eye monsters that it doesn't really matter that we're playing such a low count. Because of course we have our 3 copies of Wanted. This is for the Diabellstar engine. Of course, being paired with the Sinful Spoils cards, or Snake Eye cards, whatever you want to call these, the Divine Temple and the original Sinful Spoils. But not just that, we now have some Azamina cards as well. We are on 2 copies of Deception and 1 copy of the Hollowed Azamina. Now, some people are on 3 copies of Deception. I'm going to be honest with you guys, I only have the 2, but I probably would only play it at 2 anyway, and here's why. This card isn't a starter in and of itself. You have to tribute a monster in order to use it as a starter, which can be very expensive if you are getting interrupted. It's very susceptible to hand traps. It's not by itself a good card, and honestly, like, yeah, it's a really, really good card, but it's just not worth putting at 3 if you want my opinion on it. We have our 3 copies of Bonfire. This is, of course, how we are going to be able to consistently search for our Snake Eye cards as well. And then finishing up the spells, we have our 2 copies of Triple Tactics Talent. I think that this card is incredible. We're seeing decks playing upwards of 15 to 20 hand traps, so why wouldn't you play this card? And then, of course, the 1 copy of Called by the Grave, just to protect yourself from all those hand traps as well. Onto the actual traps, we have 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence, pretty much just adding into our hand trap lineup. And then finishing things up, we have the Angel Statue Azaroon for one of the cards in the extra deck. You guys already know what it is, so let's show you guys the extra. Of course, we have our 2 fusion monsters for the Azamina strategy. This is our Searcher, and this is our Omni Negate. This fixes a massive problem that the deck had post-ban list, and that is being able to play around something like Nibiru. We can now put out an Omni Negate as summon number 4, which you guys will see in the upcoming combo video as well. So this engine not only bridges us into our Snake Eye engine by being able to search for Wanted with her, but it also lets us put up that negate, which is very important. And then the final fusion is, of course, going to be the Fiendsmith Desiree. This is part of the end board because we are still on the Fiendsmith package, and being able to have negates is very important, but also using it to negate our own princess is incredibly important in the combo lines now as well. We have our 3 Fiendsmith Link monsters with Requiem, Sequence, and the Honorary Moon of the Closed Heaven. This is just going to branch us into this engine, so pretty self-explanatory there. The only Link one that we are currently on is the Relinquished Anima, just because sometimes you have to combo off of a single Poplar, and this is really just the best way to do it. Plus, if your opponent ends up playing into it, it works out. We have our 1 copy of IP Masquerena and our 1 copy of SP Little Knight. This is for the end board as an additional interruption that you guys can have, layered on top of everything else that you might have. We have our 1 copy of Hida because we are still in a fire format. We have our 1 copy of Nightmare Phoenix because we do sometimes get fire locked and have to use it to get rid of our own fire lock, plus being able to get rid of back row is important as well. And of course we have our Silo Hat Rabbit. This is what gets us the Angel statue, which in and of itself is interruption, but you also get to destroy a spell or trap when you summon it, or rather when you summon the Angel statue, this effect will activate, which is another form of interruption as well. The only link 3 is, of course, the Promethean Princess, just an absolutely absurd card for any fire deck. And finishing it off, we have our OTK engine with the Raging Phoenix and the Zealantis, and that's going to do it for the extra deck. And there you guys have it. That is going to be my Snake Eye Azamina deck profile. A little bit of a shorter video here, but that is because I am not including a combo at the end. Instead, I will be doing one of my fully dedicated combo videos, so make sure you guys stay tuned for that. You know the deal. If you liked it, make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, like, comment, share with your friends, and as always, don't forget to check out the channel sponsor Dueling Guard using code INSANE18 or my description in the link below. You guys can get a discount as well as help support the channel so I can continue bringing you guys these amazing videos. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.